You made some extremely bold statements back on Joe Rogan's podcast, predicting the future, and I recently looked back at it, and everything you had said came true. How were you able to see these things before they came true?
I've got a crystal ball, my 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧 crystal ball now. I have a lot of friends in Silicon Valley, and I went to them in 2018, 2019, and was like, guys, is it just me, or are we going to eliminate millions and millions of American jobs? And the response I got in private was like, oh, yeah, like that's definitely happening. And then I said, are you willing to say that to the press? And they're like, why would I say that to the press? Because all it's going to do is get me a spotlight I don't want. But the folks who are conscientious were like, someone should do something about this. And I even said to them, it's like, someone should run for president on AI, fourth industrial revolution, universal basic income. And they would say, yeah, someone should. And then I asked, do any of you want to do that? And they said, hell no. And then I said, okay, I'll do it. You guys should donate to my campaign though. And they said, how much? And then I said the max at that time was only like 2,900 or something. And so the better one said, sure. But that was the genesis of both the campaign and my certainty that AI was going to eradicate a lot of American jobs.
In which ways would you say you were most right?
I feel pretty good about 98% of the case I laid out. The part I got wrong, maybe in terms of emphasis, was the sequencing, where I did not talk about in 2019, hey, we're going to eliminate all of these entry-level white-collar jobs and recent college grads aren't going to be able to get consulting jobs or whatever. Now, that would probably have been a pretty lousy, unappealing political argument anyway, because like no one cares about that population. I would argue that they should, because everyone's a person and everyone has professional aspirations. And if you end up, let's say, loading up a young person with tens of thousands of school loans and then they don't find a job, that's really, really bad for the individual and also for the economy and for society. But I was talking more about trucking jobs, call center jobs, blue collar jobs, when maybe I could have been talking more about white collar work.
And so what's a career today that people think is safe, but that you think is going to be replaced entirely?
The first thing that jumped into my mind when you said that was lawyer. Law school applications, last I checked, went up 21% last year. And I would suggest that was a flight to safety. And that stuff's not safe at all. Lawyering is highly structured. It's very process-oriented. It's kind of the ideal environment for AI. And I have friends who are partners in law firms who say, look, I'm giving AI work that would have taken a second or third year associate a week to complete, and it gives it back to me in 20 minutes. So why on earth would I hire a small army of these associates when, like I can frankly keep the billables and the revenue and then go to my client and say, hey, great news, I got this done more cheaply. And then get the savings. Because when you are a first year law firm associate, which I was back in the early 2000s, you're a cost center for the first 2 years of your career, where the law firm's kind of eating costs to train you up. And the incentive to do that is going to be non-existent for most of the big firms.
I hate to say it, we run, or at least I run, a lot of the contracts through Gemini, ChatGPT, and Grok, and it's surprisingly accurate. I still have a person reviewing everything who's a proper lawyer who could give me the guidance, but so far, the guidance that the AI gives me is almost the same as the actual lawyer who I'm spending like $300 to $400 an hour for.
And it's slower with a lawyer.
Yes.
Like with ChatGPT, you could literally just upload a PDF and then immediately gets you back whatever you need to know.
Yeah. And it's just like, what am I missing? Mm-hmm. Is this good? Is this bad? And it's called out so many red flags that I've later addressed and fixed for free.
Yeah. Yeah. Law and accounting are two domains that are very, very rules-based and really ideal for AI. Now, I'm with you. I also have a human lawyer. But what happens is that you have relatively experienced attorneys who we're going to keep on using. But the folks who are coming up now out of school are never going to get the training to become that person that you trust and that I trust to review AI's work. So you're going to have a real chasm for law school graduates and college graduates starting essentially last year.
Which jobs should young people pursue because they will be unaffected by AI?
The jobs that are going to be unaffected, so writ large, 44% of American jobs are either repetitive cognitive or repetitive manual. And those are the jobs you should try and steer clear of because those are the jobs that AI is going to decimate. So non-repetitive manual jobs are still jobs that most people who are listening to this don't want. And the example I use is cleaning a hotel room. You're probably going to have humans cleaning hotel rooms for quite some time because having a robot recognize like a wine stain on the pillow or whatnot, and then being able to manipulate all the odd-sized objects in hotel rooms, a pain in the ass, and the human is really inexpensive. So you're going to have humans do those jobs for a long time. So if I say, hey, you should become a hotel cleaner, I mean, no one's going to take that advice. Which, I mean, there are a bunch of jobs that resemble that are persistent. Another one's like HVAC repair. It's very, very hard to get a robot to show up to a structure and figure out what's wrong with the air conditioning unit. That's going to be a human. Electrician, human for quite some time. Though eventually, if you had a modern building, then it would become self-monitoring and the rest of it. But you have a lot of old structures and a shortage of that kind of work. So if you're handy, that stuff is a good idea. The other stuff is non-repetitive cognitive, which you guys do. I do on a good day. So this is entrepreneurial, creative, bossing the AI around. The issue is that we all, like you all, I mean, you have very successful media properties. You've generated a ton of value through real estate. Like, people tune in for your advice. And congratulations.
Thank you
to both of you for improving people's lives in this way. I'm very passionate about people's financial literacy, and you guys are practitioners, which is, to me, awesome. The question for someone, again, who's like 22 or 24 is like, how do they get enough money together to have or audience to be able to live that kind of creative or enterprising or entrepreneurial journey. But that stuff's still going to be there. I mean, there are a lot of inefficiencies still. So those are some of the more resilient jobs. If you look at a Microsoft report that came out a few months ago, the resilient stuff is like sledge operators or people who have to change out the flooring or something like very gritty stuff that's very physical. The other jobs are jobs that interface with people all the time. So a teacher asked me, hey, do I need to worry about my job? And I was like, teaching will be the last thing to go. We're not going to replace the teacher with like a screen and
Really?
But why do we even need teaching? Like, there's no point. I learned so much more, and I can learn if I apply myself with ChatGPT to ask questions and learn. I can learn probably 10 times faster than in a classroom.
Or
teacher.
YouTube
Maybe
videos.
100 times faster.
People upload these entire master classes on Twitter, and they spend hours just going over one specific thing that you could learn. You just got to watch the video.
All right. So the person who was asking me this question, this was on an NPR program that I was on a few weeks ago. It was like an 8th grade teacher. And the 8th grade social studies teacher said, is my job safe? And I was like, your job is safe insofar as your community has budget for you and that there are still kids. So our birth rate's going down. The number of kids showing up is diminishing. And so eventually these teachers unions and whatnot are going to be under downward pressure because, it's just demographics. But in terms of right now, that school administrator or principal looking around that school and saying, you know what, you 8th grade social studies teacher, I'm going to replace you with, that's just not going to happen because the incentives are not there for that individual administrator. And there's a union in this case. So some of the most secure jobs are going to be unionized jobs. Now that applies to about 10% of American workers, but you're going to see a real flight to safety in that way. Like the law school degree is not the flight to safety. The flight to safety is, hey, is there going to be a union who demands that, like, for example, a human radiologist needs to review this film and that it can't be AI. There's going to be a lot of lobbying for persistent jobs.
Life insurance is one of those things that makes sense for a lot of people out there, but most people just put it off because it feels complicated, expensive, or time-consuming, but it doesn't have to be thanks to our sponsor, Fabric.
Fabric by Gerber Life is term life insurance that you can get done today. It's made for busy parents like you. It's all online, it's on your schedule, right from your couch. You could be covered in under 10 minutes with no health exam required.
If you have kids, and especially if you're young and healthy, the time to lock in a low rate is now. And even if you have life insurance through your employer, it may not offer you enough protection for your family, and it usually does not follow you if you leave your job. Fabric offers flexible, high-quality policies that fit your family and your budget, including options like $1 million in coverage for less than $1 a day.
Fabric is partnered with Gerber Life, trusted by millions of families for over 50 years. There's no risk, and they even have a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can cancel at any time. Fabric also has free digital wills, tools to invest in your kid's future, and more, all right from your phone.
Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to protect their family. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/ICHclips.
Again, that's meetfabric.com/ICHclips. MEET fabric.com/ICHclips. The link is also down below in the description. Enjoy.